Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is pretty mediocre. Before I start on why I think this film is a complete mess and why I actually think the first film is a better movie compared to this one, I haven't played much Fnaf games. I'm not a crazy Fnaf fan. I have played a bit of Fnaf 1, Security Breach, but mostly the game that I've played that I have enjoyed from Fnaf, that I've not finished yet though, is called Into the Pit. I actually do like that game, and it came out pretty recent anyways, and it's a pretty good game. And maybe I'll get back to it one day. And I know a lot of people say that to like these films, you must be a Fnaf fan. Because apparently the second film makes a lot more sense if you understand the fuck out of the lore. Because some of the context then actually makes sense. I can understand why FNAF fans like the first film, because I even enjoyed it, with the weak parts obviously being the animatronics not being scary at all, William Afton, who was the best character, having barely any screen time, and it was also classed as a horror, but it didn't really feel like a horror movie because of how goofy the animatronics looked, not including Spring Bonnie, because he actually looked alright. The slow pacing, weird writing moments, and the ending being pretty cringe. I remember at the time people also complained about FNAF 1 for not really feeling like FNAF, where a guy watches cameras all the time, but I gotta be honest man, what do you expect it to be? Anyway, I had to get that off my chest, so let's properly talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. And of course there will be spoilers in this review, just getting that out of the way. Now, I will admit, the film actually has a very solid start where we see the death of the girl Charlotte, where she basically becomes Marionette because of Spring Bonnie. Marionette is basically the main villain of this movie. Charlotte saw William taking kids to be used for his animatronics, tried asking people there's something wrong about what's happening in this place, and honestly, what I didn't like about this scene is the elderly people were saying, "Oh, go find your parents. Hey, I'm in an adult conversation here." Basically seeming like they did not care at all. I just thought it was really weird and stupid, to be honest. And I also think once the girl died and was taken by Marionette, it's just weird that none of the people did not care after that. Like, what happened to the people that was in that restaurant? Were they asking, how did that girl die? And did they just get let out freely? Did Spring Bonnie just, well, William Afton just let them go free, or did he kill all of them? Is that why nothing happened, so no one could report about it at all? And then I don't know how, like, it didn't cross a person's mind during this scene when they were experiencing this, that is something wrong with this place that caused this to happen. It just really mind baffles me, because it doesn't really make much sense. That it's kind of a plot hole that no one really thought of much from this restaurant, someone dying, literally dying, and then the animatronic appearing with holding the girl. So it's just like, what? It's so weird. I didn't hate it though, because I still actually liked that scene, but it was just very weird. I also feel like some parents are not acting like that. They're never meant to be rude like that. It's just how convenient it is that it was mean parents and there was not a single good parent that would go look behind the door and see what was up. The film then for the next 20 minutes is just about Mike and Abby's dynamic, which is actually nice. We see a scene where they go back to the Freddy Fazbear pizzeria place and they have a nice talk with each other, which I thought was really sweet, but after that, I honestly just thought, after that, the film just did not know what it was doing, and it feels completely disjointed. Yes, we do see cool characters that appear, and I'm assuming FNAF fans will be gushing about this, which is Michael Afton, but he barely has screen time. William Afton in the backstory, but he's barely in it. Marionette, which I can honestly argue that is the best looking animatronic in these movies, because it doesn't look as goofy, but again, we barely see her in that form she has. We also see one singular scene of how Vanessa put Marionette to sleep. She couldn't sleep, but once Vanessa gave her the music box and she played it, she managed to sleep, Marionette, sleep peacefully. And I actually thought that was nice, but the fact all of these things I've listed here, we barely saw scenes of them, of the characters, or the backstories between the characters, which honestly made the film have some tension. Kind of ruined it for me. Also, Henry Emily was a character which appeared in this film, but it had like one scene, I think. It was like he was barely in it at all as well. And apparently he's like a main character in the whole FNAF lore, because he's actually William Afton's business partner, and it actually reveals us to that in the credits, like while the credits are rolling in this videotape that he says to Mike Schmidt, which is just like, it's just very weird, because like the tension was actually there if it included more of these characters and these backstories we saw. Because if it was mostly focused on like this, like these characters and like I said, like the backstories, I think that genuinely could have made the film better. One problem I also have in general with these films is that it feels like they're trying to be horror, like, which I can tell, because this movie, to give it props, this movie is definitely more scarier, and you can tell where there's scenes of the teacher getting his head popped open by Chica, but at the same time, these films also feel like they're trying to target it more for kids, which is classified as horror, and in my area, this film is rated 15, so it honestly should be going all out, especially when it's a horror type movie. They shouldn't be just holding it back because it's meant to be kid targeted. The movie, like, needs to have some of these scenes that are scary because it just does not have any tension with them at all. Like I listed before in those things that we didn't see much of and we could have seen more of, the tension could have been built there, but part of the reason I feel like it wasn't built was, one, maybe the budget, but two, because it was PG-13 and they're trying to target it towards kids while also trying to target it towards teenagers, which it just doesn't work like that. They need to properly go all out and actually do what they need to do because it feels too PG targeted. The movie honestly completely falls apart as well with its weird writing. There's this scene where Mike is trying to locate all of the evil animatronics and stop them from functioning, and the prototypes try to kill Mike to stop this from happening, which is sweet because it feels like how FNAF usually feels when watching the cameras, guarding the place, putting the lights on to see if the animatronics are coming after the person watching the cameras, which could be Mike Schmidt or Michael Afton or one of them in the games, and also closing the doors if they try to kill him. So it is nice what they did there, and like, while they think, going back to this scene, while they think they succeeded, but they realise slowly later that the marionette was in Mike's home with Abby, and Vanessa tries to head back, but all of a sudden her car stops working and it seems like they're in a position where they're screwed. But in reality, somehow one of Vanessa / Mike's friend, I can't really remember whose friend it was, but it seems like they both know each other, so it's fine, appears out of nowhere in the middle of a street in the dark. What a coincidence is this? How convenient. It's like the writers did not know how to shift from scene to scene, so the characters had to get minor conveniences so that another scene could take place on how the writers wanted it. And oh my gosh, it is done so badly. And then once after that, we go to another weird scene where we get such a rushed and cringy ass ending, bro. Abby is no longer possessed by Marionette because of the music box, and once they all think they're fine, all the new animatronics try to kill them, and Michael Afton actually appears and he reveals that he's Michael Afton, Vanessa's brother, which leaves Mike Schmidt, Abby, and Vanessa seem like they're cooked. But before this, Mike actually went back to Freddy's Fazbear's Pizzeria to speak to the actual animatronics, hoping they would listen to helping Abby out. And all of a sudden, in this exact moment, they appear to help them out, and it's taken in such a cringe way with how they all end up getting destroyed all in a house, and there's not much destruction that really happened the whole movie. Like, the animatronics was planning to do, like, what the toy animatronics was planning to do is that they were planning to cause major destruction, like bloodbaths and everywhere. I honestly feel like the whole point of a Fazbear festival was that I think the animatronics were going to take over the festival and kill everyone, because that's what they made it seem like would happen, and that's what they said that would happen. The toy animatronics said that they were going to do, but for some reason it's not, and the festival is not where the final battle would take place. It ended up literally just being in a house, which is very anticlimactic. And this whole finale, no one died at all besides that teacher. I feel like they were planning on having the final battle take place in the Fazbear Festival, but it didn't happen due to budget. The final scene is very weird too, because Mike says to Vanessa to stay away from them because he can't trust them anymore, which is valid to be honest, but also a bit weird because like 2 minutes ago, Vanessa had a whole speech about not joining Michael Afton, choosing to stay with Mike and Abby. So it's very weird for her to just be left out, and then all of a sudden, now, I don't know how Vanessa doesn't realize that the marionette didn't leave, like, the whole house. And then all of a sudden, she gets possessed by the marionette, and that's literally the end of the film. That's it. Credits roll, that's it. Great film, lads. No. We do see a post-credit scene with Springtrap, and he is coming back like he said he would in the first film, which is pretty cool, because apparently from what I've heard, is that according to my friend who's a FNAF fan, he said that this movie was just building up to the third movie, which is the main movie out of the trilogy. And yeah, after watching this absolute fillerish film, where literally nothing gets solved in the span of an hour and 45 minutes, and Marionette is still alive, yeah, I can understand why people hate this film. Okay, you may notice this is a different voice tone, because this is actually editing hyper here. What I also wanted to say is that I think also FNAF fans aren't really proud and happy of this ending and this film in general because of what they did to Michael Afton. I also heard that people are upset because Michael Afton is now evil, and they wanted him to be more of a hero, so yeah, I just wanted to throw that in as well, that FNAF fans, some at least, are not happy with how this film has turned out. Alright, peace. To give this film some positives, like I said, it definitely was scarier than the first film, but really not by a good chunk. It wasn't like by a large chunk, it just was by a bit. Like I said before, the problem with these films is they're trying to appeal to a younger audience, while also teenagers, when it's meant to be a horror film, and for the third film, being the grand finale, they should honestly be going all out, and they should have really just went all out with the first and second film, because it's way too PG if you ask me. I also will say that Megan Fox played Toy Chica very well. Same with Matt Pat as Toy Bonnie. And I'm going to be honest, I've heard a lot of hate around Matt Pat as Toy Bonnie. I don't know what the problem is. I don't want him saying his actual voice and then you hear him saying, it's just a game theory or something like that happen when he's playing as Toy Bonnie. He's meant to be a scary animatronic. So I'm actually glad he had like a different tone. So, yeah, I don't know how people are hating over that. It would have just been really cringe if he had his actual voice speaking over Toy Bonnie. Also, Corey made another cameo for the film, and that was nice, because he literally did growth for his channel from Fnaf, and he also kind of grew Fnaf as well, to a lot of kids loving Fnaf and wanting to play it themselves, and he loves it, so it's nice to see him again. I also want to mention, I did realise some of the cameos in the film, like Shadow Bonnie and Circus Baby, but I don't really care much since I'm not a FNAF fan, and it doesn't really change my opinion on this movie at all. But overall, like I said, FNAF 2 is honestly mid. I don't think it's as terrible as people are saying, but man, it is a fillerish mess. So I'm giving Five Nights at Freddy's 2 a generous 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.